caught up with me. But thanks for coming in today. Just thanks for coming in general. It's pretty cold outside. GoGuardian, we're based in Los Angeles, California, so this is like ice compared to what I'm used to. So I'm actually born and raised in Connecticut. I'm used to the weather, but once you get out to California, you don't miss it too much. My name is Mark Russo. I'm our business development director, so that means I do a lot of different things. One of the many hats I wear is I get to manage our largest channel partner, which is CDW-G, as you could probably imagine. So I do have a Twitter handle. It's kind of fun to follow me because I travel so much, and in the last 2 weeks I've been through some fun stuff. Yesterday, my flight got canceled to LaGuardia from Columbus, Ohio. So I had to fly into Philly and then take a train from Philly up to Penn Station. I had to take the subway. Nobody likes a person with luggage on the subway in New York City. To the MTA, then I had to take the train over. So it's been a little bit of a journey, but I'm happy to be here. I was going to play this video for you, and I think it's pretty funny. I saw it a long time ago, probably 5 years ago, when I was speaking at an EdTech conference. I've been in EdTech for about 10 years, ever since I graduated college. Yeah, I know. I look young, but I've been out of college for a while now. What Google's done, so John Allen, as probably many of you know, who's in the Google booth, I used to be on his team. I used to be a channel partner manager at Google. And one of the many things that was very interesting is in 10 years, I don't think I've ever seen a boom like Chromebooks have done in the industry. So quick, they've really taken a hold of the market, and there's a lot of reasons for it. And it's just not just Chromebooks, it's the whole, GAF, story, which is collaboration within the classroom, collaboration with your teachers, students, etc. So with that said, I like to have this little blast from the past video that will kind of remind you of what life was like about 10 years ago. Please hold the laughter because it is pretty funny.
A new tourist destination in Auburn Hills, Michigan is showing visitors the difficulties life held for Americans in the past. Blockbuster Video aims to transport visitors to a time before the internet. It's an historically authentic recreation of a video store, a specialty shop where customers exchanged money for the short-term use of videos in an archaic system called renting.
The tour is amazing. It's like stepping into a time machine. It's hard to believe that people live this way.
A historical research team spent 3 years making sure every last detail was accurate, from the signs used to promote the store's merchandise to the costumes worn by the store's employees, historical performers who make history come alive for tour groups twice an hour.
My character is based on an actual Blockbuster employee named Jerome, who worked there from May of 1999 to June 2000. My main responsibilities are to man the cash register and to put the movies from the return slot back onto the shelves.
I am a Blockbuster customer named Kathy. 2 times a week, I travel 6 miles to rent and return videos. Oh, look, we're in the comedy section. What's so poignant about this time is the uncertainty. When you get to the Blockbuster, are they going to have your video? Did someone else rent it? Is there going to be a line? Are the alarms going to sound when you walk out the front door? It was very difficult for the people that lived during this era.
Actors say their job is to create a historically authentic experience.
Yes, we have it, but our only copy is currently checked out.
After the organized tour, visitors are allowed to move around the store, exploring the so-called living museum.
It's really amazing that people had to go through so much just to get a movie.
Blockbuster joins a growing number of historical tourism sites, including Buffalo, New York's recreation of Virgin Records Music Store and Iowa City's Borders Bookstore Museum.
Actually been out, but I mean a lot's changed, and we take for granted a little bit of how much has happened in the last 5 to 10 years, and I mean that's why I'm sitting here today and standing here in front of you is to present something that is kind of more of a 21st century idea to security, classroom management. We're an educational company. Student privacy is very important to us. If anybody knows our product or knows anything about it, we are an advanced filtering company. We monitor students as well as find lost and stolen Chromebooks. So for us, student privacy is the most important thing to us. So That's kind of why I wanted to start there. I'm just going to jump in a little bit to what our product looks like so you can get pretty much the best idea. I'm not going to bore you with more slides. But this is kind of how our system works. So we're built on Chrome for Chrome. I will put a caveat in that we are going to have an agnostic offering for Windows platforms, Android, Mac, iOS in early spring. The thing is, we just want to do it well. We know proxy settings and other things tend to have a little bit of faulty errors, and we want our solution for other devices to be as good as it is for Chrome today. So the way our system works is all in the back-end infrastructure of Google's management system. So instead of having to go out and get a computer science degree and to learn how to use our product, we like to use the slogan from Geico, it's so easy a caveman could do it. It really is that easy. So you just go into your Google admin console, you go into user settings, copy and paste these unique ID and URLs in, you click save, and immediately now your whole entire district is now GoGuardian. So all your district's Chromebooks are now under our management console. So really easy to do, like I said. Once you do that, you'll see this bird's eye view of what's going on. So this is our domain. So this is at GoGuardian. So it's going to look a lot different, our websites, than yours would at your school. So these are all the websites we use, obviously mail, calendar. We're a full Google Apps organization. But this is your bird's eye view of what we're doing, what's trending. So if you can imagine this in a school, things like the summary of what's going on in the last 7 days, that's important, right? There should be certain times of the year where these things are spiking, just like your usage within your school. There's certain times of the day you want to know when your students are online, when they're not online, etc. You see what's trending. This is probably one of those things that we took for granted when we first put it up, but administrators have told us there's things that go from being like a small video to viral within our district within minutes. And you're able to see that all from this dashboard here. Now, when you come into your dashboard, initially you're going to see your whole entire domain. You have the ability to switch down and change it to each individual organizational unit. What that means for you is if you have your OU structure built out in a way where you have different schools, different classes, you can actually give teachers, for example, rights to go into this and have a read-only. Similar to Google Doc, where they can't make any edits, they can't edit any of the settings of the privacy filter, but they can go in and see what students are doing. So now I'm going to jump into flagged activity. Due to the graphic nature, as you can imagine, with some flagged terms, I'm not going to click on any of these. If you can imagine and use your, actually, you know what? I'll go to eClub, because eClub is usually one that, yeah, like I said. In terms of what is flagged, you can imagine, we flag every single term that's inappropriate out there. And not only do we flag it in English, we flag it in almost every single language, because students are very smart when it comes to figuring out ways around filtering systems. So for that reason, we do it in different languages. We also do different types of ebonics as well. So kids say the words like twerking and dabbing, whatever that means. All those words that kids are using today, we also filter and we also flag to make sure that you are getting those and they're hitting inside your flagged activity. As an administrator, you could set emails. So when you have words like suicide, right? Words like drugs, violence, any of those top threats, you're going to get a red email. It'll come into your notifications. You can even have it be sent as a text to your phone for certain degrees of threat levels, like I said. So this is all based upon our filtering. If you go into whitelist, blacklist, jumped the gun. If you go into our whitelist, blacklist, this is where you're going to get your categorized blocking for your websites. So categorized blocking is great for two reasons. A, makes it a lot easier to choose what you want to have filtered out of your domain. It also makes you ensure your SIPA compliancy. So for a school, obviously that's a big deal. You can go in, choose the ones that ensure that you're SIPA compliant, and you make sure that your students aren't getting on any of those websites. One of the more unique things that we do is we have a very robust YouTube filter, which gets frustrating because as you can see, we have ours turned on, and I like to watch my videos just like anybody else when I'm on the road, but we have certain videos that we know are distractions at work. So things like comedy, animation, action, adventure. We had a school district in Florida that implemented this to 26,000 users. He turned off music in movies, and in a week he saw his bandwidth increase by almost 50%. So just by doing one or two categories. Now, you also have the ability to turn off comments. I don't know if anyone's seen the type of comments that come in on YouTube. They're not very nice, right? And that's also a way for students to chat. So students will tend to, they'll @ one of their friends, and the next thing you know, they're chatting via YouTube. You're also able to block the sidebar. I think every one of us in this room probably has clicked on a video and saw another video. Oh, here's the new Deadpool movie. Oh, here's another trailer. Next thing you know, you're 50 trailers deep. You've lost your student, and they're already, looking at other things. That's the YouTube, and that's basically all the filtering that you really need to run through with our filtering. The next thing I want to show you is more the monitoring, right? So my students aren't getting on XYZ website. They're not getting on these videos. How are they spending their time, right? So this gives you a good overview of what videos students are watching via YouTube. You can see what's most recent, what's most popular. I can run a report, so I can show you exactly what videos they've been watching, whether it's now, whether it's from the beginning of us having our filter. We can also show you exactly what Google searches your students make, right? So a problem that we see in schools sometimes is a student will go on a search and then we'll end up getting it flagged in our admin console. They say, well, I didn't plug that into search, and you're actually able to come back here and see exactly what they typed into that search, and you can actually view their search results right from here. The other thing we're able to do is show you what Google Docs kids are using when they're opening them. This is very important because apparently a lot of kids have been chatting via Docs and other things very recently. So this gives you the ability to go back, and when you see multiple kids that are on a doc that shouldn't be shared, you can go into your Google Vault, jump into that doc, see what's going on, and if there is a conversation that's inappropriate or shouldn't be happening, you can go in and find out when it happened. So I showed you the dashboard view of the whole entire domain. You actually can go in and actually see each individual user as well. So I'm going to click on myself, and this is my specific websites, top sites, Google searches, YouTube videos, flagged activity. I could do this for every single user in my domain. So as you can imagine, if you do have a situation where maybe a student is struggling in class, or let's say worst case scenario, there is a bullying scenario, you can go back and see what his history has been on the internet, maybe how he got there. Same with top sites. As you can see, I love to be on GoGuardian.com. This is just because it's one of my test computers. So, but you have a good idea of how children are spending their time within class. The last part of our product I'm going to explain is our theft recovery. So, cool thing about Chromebooks is they have this thing called Manage Forced Re-enrollment. Pretty sure most people know about it. Since I have an @GoGuardian.com email and I have a Chromebook, that means that if someone stole it and power washed it, they couldn't get it back into it without an @GoGuardian.com email. Probably the same for most of your schools. The issue is when it gets stolen, if someone was out there stealing it, if they couldn't get in, they're just going to go sell it, and you're never going to find out where the Chromebook was. It's just going to be lost. So what we do is we put it into a kiosk mode that actually locks down to the device into your management console. However, it opens it up so that the person, whoever stole it, is actually able to free reign on the internet. Now, when I say free reign, to them, they think they're being able to get on. They can get on with their Gmail or whatever email address they want. But really, we're tracking them. You're able to see the screenshots of any websites they go to. You're also able to pinpoint their location. And this is our office. That's why I know it's accurate. Within about 10 meters. So you can find the Chromebook even when it comes off campus. So, 3 very powerful tools in one. So that this is all GoGuardian for admin. We also have another product, which is GoGuardian for teachers, that I'm going to jump into right now. This is our classroom management product. So before I just show you a class which is active right now, I'm going to show you a little bit of kind of how it started and what our idea was. So are people familiar with Google Classroom in here? I take it. Okay. So it's the most widely used LMS out there right now. So being close to Google, coming from there, I thought, wouldn't it be cool to have a classroom management system and have its design be kind of designed right around Google Classroom? It'd be easier for teachers. They'd be more comfortable when they come in to use it. And that's exactly what we did. So as you can see here, very aesthetically pleasing. It looks very similar to what Google Classroom looks like. And the really cool thing is, and this just was announced 2 days ago. We've been working on it for a while. If you hit Add Classroom, you can actually add your Google Classroom roster in Classroom directly from Google Classroom. Meaning, if you already have 15 classes set up in Google Classroom, All you have to do to add it into our system is just click on Add Classroom, and you can automatically add that classroom and roster set of students. So it makes your life a lot easier. Now, if you don't have Google Classroom yet set up, don't worry, we're not thinking anything less of you if you don't have Google Classroom. You can also set up classrooms 3 other ways. You can do it by enroll code, where you have your students go on this website, drop an enroll code, add them into your class. You can do it by email, so copy and paste all their emails into here, and or do it by CSV import. And that's how you import your rosters. Now, why would you want to do that? That's what I'm going to show you right now. So our classroom management system is very unique for a couple different ways. So obviously, I have the ability to look at my student's screen live, right? That's what classroom management means to most people. It's great. I can see my student's screen live. I have the ability in our software to take a snapshot of anything they have open. So if there is something that he or she shouldn't be doing, I can take a snapshot. If he or she is doing something really good, I can share it with the rest of the class. If I have a smart board or a projector in the front of the room, I can share it with the rest of the class. I have the ability to look at any other open tabs they have, and I can close them automatically as a teacher. I also have the ability to select all my students and force open a tab. I can force open any website, which will automatically open on their computer. And I can always lock them down and say, hey, all eyes on me, which I'm not going to do because they'd all hate me right now. But yeah, so a lot of capabilities. People kind of think of like, what's the big difference between classroom is this is really giving you insights to what your students are doing without you having to walk around the classroom. It's allowing you to I know that teachers still want to walk around, that's fine, but this gives you the ability that when they are doing group work and other things to make sure that they're sticking to their group work, making sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. And you have the ability to have that more informal type of recommendation instead of having to walk over there and you always have that embarrassment when a teacher comes up and they tell you you're doing something wrong. So this way you can send a message and say, hey, get back to work. And they're going to slowly pick up on that. Their behavior is going to start to change. Student achievement is something that we're very fond of, obviously, and it's something that we want to make sure students are starting to get, pushed towards. And, since all these students today are digital learners where they have iPads in their hands by the age of 3, we want to make sure they're using them, the right way. So the timeline view is very interesting as well, because you probably see this and like, why are all these colors changing? Every time they open an active tab, if it's for a second, a minute, an hour, we're going to catch it, right? So students might think that, oh, they didn't know that I opened ESPN real quick. They didn't know I opened a Minecraft game or tried to. You can go back to any time in the timeline history and see exactly what they had open at that given time. That's today in this class. That's in a class that happened yesterday. That's in a class that happened last year. That's in a class that happened 4 years ago. Why would I want to know what happened 4 years ago? I mean, you probably all know about student retention in here, right? So if anything ever happens and there's a situation, they're going to be diving into records and they're going to want as many records as possible if something happens so they can kind of pinpoint when that maybe started to occur. And you have the ability to do that with the timeline view. Of course, we also have this screenshot view as well, which is very good. Of course, you can see here, these are all my student screens. I have their other active tabs open as well. This is the tile view I like. Some people might prefer a more peeled out one where I could see a little bit more of what screens, or some people might want even a smaller one. So like I said, it's two different softwares. It's GoGuardian for admins, which is your monitoring, theft recovery, advanced web filtering. And then we have our classroom management, which is GoGuardian for teachers. What I will say is CDW has access to a bundle that sells both. They're the only partner we work with that has access to sell both. Most people are used to buying classroom management by student. We sell it by device. We don't really see why you would sell something to schools that have less devices than they do students. So we want to make sure that you're only getting charged for what you're using, basically. So that's really it. Usually at the end, I show this picture here. Oh, sorry, I did forget. So we do have an actual pretty big announcement coming up, GoGuardian for Admins version 2. So we really dove into the analytical part. We have so much of this data that we're getting. We're in over 2,500 districts in the US, 2.5 million students and counting. So what are we doing with this data? We're working on a version 2 of our software that'll give you more reporting, more access, more analytics to sit down and be able to see how your students are doing with these devices in class. And that should be out sometime early in the spring. With that said, that's really all I have. I put this picture up because I've been in the industry for 10 years. I've worked at Google, I've worked at some very large corporations, and I could safely say I made a great decision where I'm at. We're a startup in the true sense of we're a young company. A 23-year-old kid was doing his thesis on his couch in UCLA, and he decided that he really wanted a way to better protect students on Chromebooks. So he started this software, him and his friend, engineer friend. And then they said, you know, it'd really be nice to be able to have some of these inner city schools find these lost and stolen Chromebooks. He saw all these blog posts about students losing Chromebooks and no way to recover them. So it started from there. I mean, what better story than a student in college producing this software? And then he started, you know, grabbing more of his friends, and then he grabbed some VC funding, and then that's really when we took off. So I've known Asa, who's their CEO right there, believe it or not. That's Asa. I've known him for about a year and a half. I met him pretty much almost at the beginning of this, and I was excited then. Obviously now I'm more excited that I'm on the team. You know, we're one big happy family, and I can tell you that. I've never worked in an organization where you feel like your family like this. So we take our jobs very seriously. You know, we might be young, but we work with a lot of intelligent people, and we're really doing things to kind of move to the next level, right? Our next level is taking all this student data and being able to give you reporting, being able to give you the tools that you need to go back and say, is our technology plan working? Is this something that's going to help? How can we do a better job implementing a technology plan that's going to be successful for our students and our teachers? So we're bigger than that now. That's probably when we were about like 31. We're at about 64 right now. So in the last year, that's almost double-digit growth for us. That's huge. So if you're ever in El Segundo or LA, we'd love for you to come visit. We have a huge office. We actually have a classroom set up in there where we do some mock classes, and we bring in some inner city school districts in LA Unified to come in. So we'd love to have you in. I guess the next thing is, does anybody have any questions? No? Awesome. Oh.
This one, when you're on the teacher screenshot view where you can see all the kids' screens, from that view, can you like right-click on those tabs and go close, 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 the screens view?
So when you're in the screens view,
Where you just were.
you can't just like right-click.
Right there.
Yeah, so you physically have to click, and then you just, yeah, we don't have something that's select all. The cool thing is, when you think of an idea like that, if you click on ideas, this probably looks familiar. It's a very googly thing. Yeah, so we have all these ideas. We do this thing called TGIF, where every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m., we sit there and we talk about all the ideas that we have. We say, is this a good idea? Is this a bad idea? Obviously, the more people that say yes, because let's be honest, all of us had $1 billion idea at one point, right? You know, it's like, okay, you know, someone already made that idea. So as long as other teachers are on it, and then what we do is we'll do like an alpha, beta version where we'll push those features out to teachers in a class, and then we'll monitor them over 2 months. If they use those features, then we'll say, okay, it's worth it. We're really big about having some type of success with the thing. So if we're going to add a feature, we want to make sure people are going to use it, and because having extra features in classroom management slows it down, as you probably have all seen. Classroom management, the number one thing teachers have all told us is we don't want any latency. We don't want to see something that happened 5 minutes ago. We want to see something that happened 3 seconds ago. So that's what our average refresh rate is. So anywhere from 2 to 5 seconds. So you're really not going to see anything under that, or over that, I should say. Anybody have any other questions? Like I said, we're going to have an agnostic offering on both these products, hopefully by this summer. Like I mentioned, it's really good in Chrome. We want to make sure it's going to be just as sufficient, just as secure on Windows platforms. Really, the tough one is iOS, if you want me to be honest. I'm not an engineer, so I can't tell you that, but from what I hear from our engineers, it sounds like iOS is going to be the tough cookie to crack, but we will.
But the person that is doing the management, for instance, if the teacher has the Chrome browser,
we absolutely can do that.
Connect in and
You got
be
it.
on Windows machine, but be managing and looking at what the kids
You got it.
who have the 25 Chromebooks.
You got it.
in the car.
You got it. So right now I'm on a Mac, right? Right now I'm on a Mac. Every single person that I just showed you is on a Mac back in El Segundo. So as long as you're forcing your, I don't want to say force, that's a strong word. As long as you're having everybody else using Chrome and shutting down Mozilla, Safari, and Internet Explorer, our products will work on, both our products will work on either one.
Okay, and you said something, your pricing structure is based on what number?
By device.
By device.
So we do it by device just because like we don't see the value in a school buying something for 10,000 students when they have 5,000 devices because there's no way to have 10,000 students on 5,000 devices.
You just scale down too, right?
We scale down to
Now
everything.
We only have
Yeah.
a handful.
If you had 3 Chromebooks, you're able to buy our software. So we scale down and up as big and small as you need. That's it. That's all I got.
Can you control the intervals of the screenshots of the students?
So the screenshotting only occurs when you put them in theft recovery mode, and you can control that.
I mean, like the teacher viewers.
So you're saying like, can we control how many times we're taking? So you can't control it. So the way it is, it's an ongoing timeline, right? So the way it works is we're not taking necessary. I mean, yes, we're filtering this into this system. We're cycling it through the system, but we can't change, you know, what you get for a screenshot opposed to someone else. Everyone's getting the same flow of screen share, essentially. Sure. All of the screens? So you're saying, like, can you change the, like, how fast that goes? Thank you.
Wondering how it affects bandwidth. Is that if he has to upload?
Yeah. So it's since it's all in, we're all hosted in Amazon services in the cloud. It's very fast. It's very rare we have connection issues, and that's on with. I think we're at. Yeah, sure. We've never had an issue with it since it is all cloud-based, right? And it's not storing. It's not like Safari Montage where there's like a server in my back room. Since it's all in the cloud, we haven't heard of anyone. I think Chicago Public is probably our biggest example. They're at like almost 80,000 units, and we've never heard from them. They have a big backbone infrastructure, right? But yeah, at the same time, we've never heard of them have an issue because the way Classroom is you're never going to have 70,000 students running at once in one single class. It's just rare when it happens. We have usually 550 concurrent sessions at once as our record-breaking day, and even then, we didn't see any type of emails about, you know, pardon me?
Are there any bandwidth requirements?
Not that I know of. There's probably some minimum requirements in terms of what Chrome operating system you have, I think. I'd have to look at it. It does date back to almost the first gen, so. Any other questions?
Will this work with a Windows device using Chrome?
Yeah, as long as you're using Chrome browser, it will work with anything that's using Chrome browser. But the second they go from, like I said, Chrome to Internet Explorer, we can't monitor what they're doing. Or if they're using incognito tab. Usually every school has that closed. But if they're using incognito tab, what you'll see is like, instead of this, you'll just see a frown face because it's incognito. So like sometimes you'll see that with us because some of our employees jump off because they want to sign into their own Gmail or something. So you don't have access to that. That's the only time you wouldn't see them in Chrome.
Does the filtering and web distribution?
Absolutely. No matter what they're doing on their Chromebooks, the filtering always works.
In a BYOD environment where as long as they're using Chrome, or is it just Chromebook device on the end user end? The student?
No, if they have Chromebook devices, do you guys get the management consoles or are they free range?
We have management consoles.
Yeah, well then they would be monitored. Now we can monitor them at home, of course. You know that's why a lot of one-to-one at take-homes have us. But you can also turn off with IP restrictions, and you can also turn down the settings. So we have like an 8 to 5 setting, whatever you want to make it. Maybe you have a setting that's 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. That's super restricted. Then they can go home and then go on Twitter. Then they can go home and go on Facebook and all these other things. We have a lot of schools that do that because that's when they usually catch some of this bullying and other activities going on. They go on Facebook And you know, that's, I mean, when it comes to student privacy with devices that are owned by them, a lot of schools don't like to turn it on for that reason, because it's their device, they're taking it home, they can do what they want at home, but you have the ability to turn on a smaller set of features so when they're home.
Are there time controls on the
Yep.
so that a teacher can't look at a screen all the time?
Absolutely, yeah. So we have time and we have IP restrictions. So classroom, we really stress to only be used within the class. We're not saying that you can't have at-home students that might be sick or hurt or, you know, injured for some reason and not being able to come to class, but we really hope that you're using that IP restriction for a specific reason. Let's say you have a student that's sick or at home, add that IP that they have at their home into your actual accepted IP addresses. But yeah, we have IP and we have time restrictions. Our next step is to have this to where, so with like Google Classroom, you could set your time classes up. So let's say that instead of, with our product, you have to actually initiate the class. So your teacher would have to go in, she would have to hit start session. That's it. Once the session's over, it'll be over by time. So you have the choice to do from 40 minutes up to 2 hours, however you want. Once it's over, you would just let it clear out. So if you were working on it to where it would go from one class to your next class automatically. So that should be out very shortly as well. Anything else? I do have a couple giveaways at my booth, some t-shirts and a couple bottles. So if you guys want to come in and sign up at my booth and just give me your information so we can follow up with you, I'd be happy to give you one of the shirts. They're one of these, and they're really comfortable. If you can't tell, I look really comfortable. I'm cold, but I'm comfortable. Thank you.